Danny Lee.
Shots to start with there from Danny Lee.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Athlete Podcast. Today we're joined by Danielle Ashfield, a Bareknuckle boxer from right here in D-side. Only about 5-10 minutes up the road from the HQ here, aren't you?
Yeah, not even that. I can walk home.
Oh, well, fair enough. I wouldn't do it today, it's not very nice outside.
No, it's not a nice day.
So you are a Bareknuckle boxer,
Yes.
former karate kid as well. You've, I hear you're very, very decorated in karate, so we'll start there. You got into karate at 8 years old.
Yes.
And you told me you were training 5 days a week.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first.
Yeah.
And then I started to love it, and then my mum was taking me every evening, Monday to Friday.
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Even for your mum too.
Yeah,
Because-
I feel, when I look back as an adult, I feel that poor woman.
Yeah, exactly. And so, how did you get into it then? What made you go and do karate?
So my auntie and my cousins done it, and my mum and my auntie are close.
I see.
And I can't actually remember why my mum started to go, but I know I think she just needed to put me to do something.
Yeah.
And I think I loved the routine of it. I think it's had something to do every evening, and I like routine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just fell in love with it. I was obsessed with it. I was doing it at
Yeah.
home, I was doing it in the garden, I was doing it up there.
And you were competing as well at this
Yeah.
time too, so it's not just the 5 days every weekday.
Yeah.
You've also got your competitions on the weekend, and I sort of know how they're set out because they're very similar to a lot of the other competitions that like child sports do. They are long. They're a very, very long day. And don't let that dissuade you, anyone that's wanting to start karate.
No, they
because-
are really fun. You meet a lot
Yeah.
of people from everywhere. I didn't speak to a lot of people because I used to sit with my mum, but I still enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching, the other people competing. It is it's long, but it's nice, and you get to travel. Like you said, it's like a little holiday.
Yeah.
I like-
So what were your thoughts on competing and whatnot? What was the aim at that point when you're very young? I mean, are you looking to win? Are you just looking to
I think when
have fun or?
When I first started, I wasn't really sure. They said I was good, so just like, you should compete. So I was like, okay, just. And I knew I was very sharp, but I didn't understand the intensity of where it could get you at that point. So I was only 8.
Yeah.
I just knew, I thought, I'll get a medal. Okay. So we had to go travel. It was at least once a month or every 2 months we were going to a competition around the country.
Okay.
And I started off just coming like 4th and 3rd in the first few, and then it started picking up, and then I had a goal. Then I wanted to do regional and national.
Yeah. What was the first regional that you won then?
The first regional, that was Southwest England.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was it South? Yeah, Southwest.
And so how many people are competing in this one regional tournament?
Hundreds. They're huge.
Wow.
So there was about 6 mats.
Yeah.
And there's 2 people on each mat, and that goes continuously from 10 in the morning up until 6 in the evening.
That is wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I didn't really understand the scope of it when I was a child. You don't realise how big they are. Maybe other people did, but I didn't.
I think generally as a kid, you're just sort of up for anything, aren't you? You don't really care, but then as you grow older and older, especially as you start getting into teenage years, you start to perceive things much more.
Yeah.
And
you're kind of blinded as a child. You don't really take in other people, or you just kind of go for it.
It all becomes a lot more real, doesn't it?
Yeah, you have more fear I think as you grow, the fear kicks in.
No, you're right. And so you also competed in the nationals too at that point. And you won.
Yeah, I won the nationals.
And how was that?
Good, really good. It was like, again, I didn't understand really what was going on. Because it was in Birmingham. I just remember it being noisy. I hated the noise. But I loved the competing side when everyone goes quiet. It was nice. And I think when I won that afterwards, it really kicked in because you get this big trophy and I had a gold medal. And you stand up in front of like thousands of people, hundreds, it's busy.
Oh yeah,
and,
with the lights too. As
well.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily because the lights are on me, I couldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
So that helped.
I get you. And so at this point, you were competing, and maybe about 13 years old. You said you were when you won nationals, And so at this point, you're competing. You're in high school and whatnot, but you're also actually an undiagnosed autistic person too.
Yeah.
And so we chatted a little bit about this earlier, and it was actually very hard on you to not really have the answers of being diagnosed at that point.
Yeah.
Why sort of you worked, the opposite way pretty much to everybody else, and how your brain operated was different, and it's difficult at that age to sort of realise that you wouldn't ever think that, would you? You just see it black and white. Well, these people, they're like this, and I'm like this.
Yeah.
And so, how did that sort of affect you then?
It was horrible. I always knew autism wasn't even a massive thing when I was in school. I finished school in 2007. It was a while ago, and autism was not big then. You were just put in like isolation or the back of the class with a teacher, and it was hard because you used to get called so many names. You're a weirdo, and I knew that something was different. Yeah. And I had no idea what, but I knew, and it used to really bug me. I used to get so stressed and upset about it. And then I ended up shutting down completely. I quit all my sports, and I went on quite a bad path then. And then I obviously had my child and got my diagnosis.
And that was at the age of 23. Yeah,
but the high school was the worst. I really lost myself.
Yeah.
I was too busy trying to fit in, like with these people, or trying to figure out why I'm different, and that bit was probably like ruined me as a mentally.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And then it's, as we talked about it as well, you were diagnosed at the age of 23 because your son was diagnosed.
Yeah.
And that's a big trait of like autism, ADHD, all of that. It's very, very recessive. So the chance, if you've got it, the chance of passing it on to your child is really, really high.
Yeah.
And so when you found out about that, what did you think?
It's a blessing in disguise that they noticed my autism because of Alfie.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't have the help he gets, and if people weren't more accepting of it now, mine would have never have happened.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But it changed everything. Like my life, just within a year, my life went back on track. Everything was fantastic. I got back into sports.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just, I just finally had a reason for why I was different, and instead of looking at it as, oh, you're different, it was more like, well, I'm not different. I'm just this is me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, as you said, in the space of a year, you picked up sport again.
Yeah.
I think it's just a story of being more true to yourself, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, 100%.
And living for how you want to live, as opposed to what maybe perceptions limit you to.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Just if you don't fit in that box, don't worry about it. There's a box for you. There's a box for everyone. I think you just have to find your box and what works for you.
Yeah. And even if it's something, forgive me, but bare knuckle boxing, it's very, very niche.
Yeah.
And so even if it's, you might think, like you did, you went into boxing initially.
Yeah.
But then found that because of the way that your autism affected your hand-eye coordination and things, that having the gloves on made things really, really difficult, right?
I couldn't even, my God, I was all over the place. I couldn't throw a punch.
I've
got slowly better over time. So what my coach has done now is put tape on the gloves for where my knuckle should be, to simulate where my knuckle is in the glove.
Yeah.
But I'm still struggling. So then bare knuckle came in, and it's much better at that. That's my thing now.
Exactly. You found where you can be sort of like set in.
Yeah.
And you can improve.
I feel so comfortable doing it.
Yeah, and it helps to have the routine back as well.
Yeah.
From that 1 year you built yourself back up. You've got your routines back from when you were younger, and it just makes things so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, everything, even my life, even the way I look at life, because I accept myself. Everything, like even the people I talk to, I associate with, and how I cope with day-to-day life, everything has changed, and it's so much better.
Yeah. And so, moving on to more bare knuckle boxing, let's talk about that then. It's quite the sport. Everyone, I think that when everyone hears about it, they're almost like, oh, bare knuckle. That sounds a bit violent, but really, when you compare it to boxing, at least, it's a lot more forgiving. Would you say?
Yes, definitely. And there's the injuries are more superficial, so it doesn't cause long-term damage.
Yeah.
Not as much as boxing. And the people are really friendly as well. Like, you'll meet the friendliest people, and they actually all help each other. Like, each time I've been to a bare knuckle event, they help each other behind the scenes. It's not like, you're there and you're there. Yeah. Some of them interact with each other. It's really nice little community, and it's growing huge.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That it's getting bigger and bigger, and the people, they help each other.
Yeah.
Because I bet you don't really see these. You're sort of in your own little world when you train and things like that. You're in the same place all the time. But then when you go out to a competition, you might see someone that you've already competed with before. You might see someone that you might meet all these new people at these tournaments. And I bet, especially when it's a promoter thing too, I bet it's really exciting.
It is. I find it quite overwhelming. I get really nervous, but at the same time, I'm glad I do it. Make myself do it.
Yeah.
It's nice. You do get some people who have like bad blood or say things, but
I mean, at the end of the day, you're punching each other.
Yeah. You have to make yourself angry, like I always say.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't done anything to me, but in the ring, they're nothing to me, kind of thing. That's my enemy.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'll give them a hug. I'll go, have a drink with them, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's got a lot of stigma attached to it because people just think they're violent brutes, and it's really not.
Mm-hmm. No, you're completely right. It's one of those things as well where, with obviously boxing, bare knuckle boxing, you're very sort of, it's insular, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because everyone's contained within the same gym. Like with gymnastics, say, pretty much all of the best gymnasts from around the country, they're all gathered in one place to be at the best gymnastics gym, where the best gymnasts train to become the best gymnasts. Exactly. Whereas with boxing, there's boxing, bare knuckle, all combat sports really. You've got all these gyms across the UK. Yeah. It's not like there's no team GB per se, where
no, you're all going together. Yeah.
Exactly. And so there's lots of different styles of coaching, styles of fighting, different ways to fight, just different philosophies, isn't there?
There is. It's very interesting to watch because sometimes you can see the dynamic. Like if two people have very different fighting styles, someone's going to have to dominate massively to make the other person. You've got to adapt. So it's really interesting to watch sometimes.
Yeah. What would you say your fighting style is then?
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
Yeah.
Okay. Show me.
Peekaboo.
Yeah.
So
show me.
Peekaboo is.
If I could.
I could do it from sat down. So it's more when I like to kind of go close and low for peekaboo and then come up peekaboo.
Okay.
Instead of some people like distance.
Yeah.
And I used to like long distance because of karate. I was good at getting in and out. Mm-hmm. But I've learned that in bare knuckle that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to go because I'm quite strong for my size because I'm in a low weight category.
Yeah.
It's I can go close and hit harder from go. So they call it a peekaboo.
Okay, I see. So you're very dynamic and like you move around a lot in the ring then.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I mean,
I didn't know that about myself again. I found it out through when I was going to bare knuckle and I was going to like boxing and he said, I think this will be a good style for you.
Okay.
But before that, I was very much, I was very bouncy because of my karate, and he said, "No, come here," and then everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the end of a peekaboo. I mean, it sounds very nice, but it does, sure doesn't it? It hits quite hard. And so, going back, because I was quite interested in this, I asked you about this before, but I pieced it together in my head now that the difference between the gloves and whatnot, things like that, is that your brain knows when it's being hurt. Is that correct? More than with a glove where it's quite cushioned, whereas you're more liable to get like a concussion or something because your brain doesn't know. Because being knocked out, it's just self-defense, isn't it?
You're knocked out. I think I prefer it because especially your hands as well. Like how much damage you're doing to your hand on every single punch. So I know if this hand's starting to hurt. I can see it swelling, so I think, right, don't use that one, or give it a break for a minute while, when you're going through the rounds.
Yeah.
But I think it's much better, but then, like they say, there's some resistance as well with some people, because your hand's hitting them. So they say that you never go as 100% in bare knuckle as you would in boxing, because there's nothing to protect it.
Yeah.
So your brain knows that even though you're coming in, there's nothing there to help your hand.
And you're going straight for the chin, or you're going straight for the cheek, or anything really.
Yeah, so it takes a lot to mentally get yourself to tell yourself to go 100% with no glove.
Okay, I see.
I think that's where the best of the best come in, like the world champions. They just like, I'm not there yet. I think my brain still probably tells me.
Maybe stop a little bit.
Yeah, go 70.
And it doesn't even sort of remove it. The pain doesn't, the pain doesn't even sort of remove itself with the adrenaline of being in a fight and the crowd and everything like that, or
sometimes. But so my left hand I'm left-handed, so my left hand was massively swollen, and I didn't notice at all. But my right hand, I don't know if it's because it's weaker or maybe my brain, or you start getting tired and you realise. But my right hand, I felt that I did one punch and I felt something, and I thought, oh no. So I knew straight away in that fight not to use that one again.
Yeah.
So I just used it to feint. So I don't know if the adrenaline had worn off or it was just something really hurt.
Yeah,
It's like enough for me to go, whoa.
I mean, for something to break through adrenaline, at least you've got to be pretty hurt.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be really, really hurt. I mean, that's what it's
Power
like,
of
isn't
adrenaline
it?
is insane.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've fainted from it before, because you have all that energy and it's all built up, but then when it
comes down,
you can faint. I've done it. So let's talk about your training, what it's like being a bare knuckle boxer. Then, what's your regimen like at the minute?
So Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my really intense days.
Yeah.
And I'll do like my strength and conditioning, my power weights. I'll do bag work, and then I'll do sparring each night for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday and Thursday, they're more cardio days.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of running, a lot of changing levels as well to get your heart rate going.
Yeah.
And then like more tech sparring, so I'll do like tech work and footwork. Just like slow balance on the bag, so you punch but you go really slow to like perfect your technique.
Okay, I see.
And then Saturday and Sunday, Saturday I have a complete like day off, like active recovery, a lot of stretching and stuff.
You need it, don't you?
Yeah. And I don't train Thursday or Tuesday night, just the days.
Yeah.
And then Sunday I do a run. I've got this endurance parachute my coach got me. And that is
you're running with a parachute?
Yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that's new to me. I'm like a new athlete. And that I thought I was going to go fly backwards, and I was really scared to run with it.
No, it's just gonna.
Yeah,
really,
but you really have to plant your feet and like really. But it was amazing. I could feel it straight away on my chest. I thought that's fantastic.
And so how does that help you then in terms of the muscles that it's building?
It helps you, like with your lungs and endurance. So
yeah.
Because it's resistance, isn't it? So it helps you go. Eventually, you'll be able to go faster for longer and keep up your energy,
okay.
like oxygen in your lungs.
It's very smart, that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
very,
really,
very smart.
When he first shown it me, I wanted to try it out though. I'll go up more fammer.
Not with a parachute on.
Yeah.
Crazy. Not
it's just
especially
bad, terrible impulse control.
I mean, it's fine. Listen, Morvami is fine. But for anyone that knows Morvami, it's the final ascent. Yeah. That bit. The rest of it.
Yeah, it's a nice. It's easy, isn't it?
I don't understand why they just wouldn't. It's so difficult, that last bit of climbing.
It just goes, doesn't it? Like.
Oh, it's such a crazy gradient. Anyway, so. How do you feed yourself then? What sort of foods are you eating for this training?
So I've got a nutritionist at the moment, which is really helping me. So like every morning I'll have like apple cider vinegar, coffee, green tea, and I'm starting to like the apple cider vinegar, which is weird.
Okay.
But, it's nice, and then I'll have like a protein smoothie on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Chicken and rice, that sort of thing, like omelette, spinach, cucumber, watermelon.
Do you find that your son eats largely the same stuff as you, or no?
No,
okay.
He's so opposite to me. It's insane.
Oh really?
Yeah, like I do. He does eat healthy. I make sure he has a balanced diet because I'm huge on health and stuff.
Of course.
But he's fussy with texture. His autism's probably a bit more severe than mine, so he's really like his food has to be certain colours.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So but he's proud of me. It's nice. Like
no, of course.
But I don't think he'd ever go into it.
But but you just showing him that you can overcome.
Yeah, that's my goal.
The difficulty that he has.
Yeah.
And he can directly empathise and know exactly what it is that you're going through, and see you going and competing in the O2, no less. And the O2 is huge.
It's scary. My legs were trembling.
Yeah, I bet. Because it's too many people to put into one place, to be honest.
It was, even just looking at it, like everything about it was. I was okay when I was like, in the back. I had my own little room. Yeah. But then once you like walking there, I thought I don't want to go in. I don't want to go in. I don't want to go in. And it got too overwhelming. And when things get overwhelming with my autism, everything starts echoing, and I can't hear anyone. And it's like boom, boom in my ears, and I want to curl up in a ball. But my coach, I had a lovely coach. He's so nice to me. He got my headphones on. And he was like, just hugged me, held me for a minute, just to make sure I'm okay. I like pressure. And then we went in, and I was fine then. But it was that initial of everything, and the noise was
It's a lot.
That's the hardest part for me is that.
But then in that, you just show that you can overcome even the things that make you, you know, that may scare you or may make you, it might stimulate you, you know. Yeah. It's all something that you can overcome, and you're showing him that. You're showing him and everybody else too, you know, anyone that.
Yeah, I think it's as long as if you know what triggers you and you know your coping mechanisms, I think it's a lot easier to overcome things, and having the right people around you. I think that's why it's important to be true to who you are, because if you get with the wrong people and the wrong crowd because you want to fit in, they're not going to look after you. They're not going to be there for you. Yeah. And I think with autism or anything like that, so even without it, it's important, you know, to have good people around you.
Oh no, you're completely right. Especially people that understand what you're going through as well, and want to help in any way they can as well. Yeah, because I've had people stand there and look at me and just, what's she doing? And then I've had my friend come over and be like, come here. And she's like, you know, she's got me around and she's like, you know, she's just like, close your eyes. Close my eyes. And I know it sounds silly even as an adult, sometimes I need to close my eyes and someone to put the hand on my shoulder, but it works. Yeah, well, there's nothing you can do about it. No, and I don't. I used to get a bit embarrassed about it, but now I don't care. That's what I need. And I want people to know, like, especially Alfie, my big goal is anything is possible. You just we can do it, autistic or not. We just have to go round. Our path might be longer, might be different to theirs, but we can do it. Yeah, I mean, it might be even, you know, it might even lead you to even bigger places, you know. Yeah. Because there's one thing about autism that I know, and it's that routine and goals and, you know, regular things like that are really, really helpful. Yeah. And that having that, I know the routine for training and whatnot, I bet. I love the routine. Yeah. Because I thrive off it. I'm so happy with my routine. Like, now I just get excited thinking that I've got a routine. Exactly, yeah. I love it. I even have timed when my food is, and it makes me so happy that I know right up until the 14th of December what I am doing every day. Yeah, exactly. I just love that. And you can just look at it and it's almost like comforting, isn't it? That you know exactly what you're going to be doing and when. Because when you've not got anything to do, that's a downfall. It's like a dark time. Yeah, exactly. Because you just end up sat there, almost rotting. Yeah, I do. Because especially because you go from going so high up as well, like all your emotions, your adrenaline's up here, and then even after the fight, like everyone's like, da da, and it's like, whoa, and then it just goes boom, nothing, no routine. Exactly. There's no fights, there's nothing, and you just sit and you're just like, now what do I do? And that for me, that is so hard. That is so hard. It can get quite depressing. It's really hard to just sit still, isn't it? Yeah. It's really. Everyone's like, relax, take time off, and I'm like, do what? I had a routine. I don't want it. You know, my time off is already scheduled in. Yeah, this was not what I planned. Okay, so going on to when you're like sort of in like competition mode, you're getting ready for a fight or whatever. Do you find that you cut weight quite a lot for your weigh-ins and things like that? Yeah. Last time I had to go up, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was hard. That was probably one of my hardest fights because I've never fought that heavy. Yeah. How does that affect you then if you never? I felt so slow and I was so tired. Yeah. And obviously being a woman, when you have time of the month, it was just horrendous. Yeah. So it was not great. I felt really sluggish and sweaty and horrible. But this one's, I sit at 60 and my next fight's at 54. So I'm actually looking forward to that. Okay. It's easier to cut weight and put it back on for me, I find. Yeah, I bet. I mean, I've seen like the videos and whatnot, boxers, MMA fighters all cutting weight and they go into the weigh-in and they are they're like a skeleton. Yeah, they look tiny, they're so dehydrated. Is that one of the main things that you stop doing? You stop drinking water? No, you actually drink more water to get your body. So it's called water cutting. So you'll drink loads of water days, like a week before the fight, and you'll pile on the water, and then obviously your body will start flushing itself out. Yeah. And then you'll go running. So I wear like leggings, a sweatsuit, and a hoodie, and you'll go running or you'll go sit in a sauna without eating food. Yeah. Yeah, that I think I'd go for the sauna personally to sweat it all out. Running on no food and just water would be hell. Yeah, but some people they'll go like, you only fast normally for 24 hours. Some people do 72, like especially the bigger guys. Yeah, they'll go 72 hours without food, and I don't think I could do that, to be honest. Oh, I couldn't either. But I'm not that big. I would never need to do that. Yeah. But then no, it's hard. Like I got quite poorly once, like trying to cut because I just physically couldn't cut anymore. Yeah, because
and you're dehydrated, you're fasting, you've still got to train.
Really?
Yeah, and you see some of them and I think they look awful. Poor people.
No, exactly.
But then you'll see them in the cage or the ring the next day and they're fully replenished. And
so how do they do that then?
You normally have a nutritionist, so they'll fill them back full of electrolytes, healthy food. They'll tell them what to eat, when to eat, what time. Pile on the water again, but not too much. You don't want to bloat.
So you're allowed to gain more weight after the weigh-in. The weigh-in is what you want to hit.
So I've always found that a bit like a loophole.
Yeah.
Because I knew a person once who cut 7 kilo in a week.
Yeah.
For the fight, but then she gained it within I think it was 24 hours almost.
Jeez.
So then she's gone into that fight weighing 7 kilos more than this other girl might have only put 2 kilo on.
Yeah.
So then, even though you're advantaged, technically you're meant to be even on the scale. Anything in those 24 hours after is anyone's game. And I've always found that a bit unfair.
Is there like a sweet spot where you put enough weight on but not too much to slow you down?
Yeah. So as long as if you can put 10 kilo on and it doesn't slow you down, great.
Okay, yeah. So it's different for everyone then.
Yeah, but then it's unfair if some person can only put 2 kilo on, and then I think in boxing it might not be as bad, but in MMA I've seen them if someone weighs 8 kilo more than you and they sit on you, it's going to be hard for you to get them off.
Exactly, especially in there's pretty much every single facet of martial arts and MMA, isn't there? And so you just find that, especially like the wrestling and things like that, you don't want.
No, you don't want them to be that much heavier.
You don't want someone to be 7, 8, 9, 10 kilo heavier than you, especially just because they've piled it on.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it more frustrating, because you think,
I could have done that.
Yeah, but some people's bodies naturally won't do it. Some people just can't do it. It's all genetics and biology as well. People just think, you just eat and you don't. But it's different for everyone's individual circumstances. Yeah.
So how do you sort of get into combat sports, martial arts, and whatnot? What is it difficult? Do you think that it's difficult for people to get into it, or? No,
I think it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And the people are so nice, and it's the structure and for me it's the routine. But any martial art, I think it's all lovely people. They're very easy to get into. So easy.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the easiest things to get into. You just go to the club, you turn up, you want to join, and that's it.
I think the main problem for a lot of people is the combat itself.
Yeah. And I think, I know when I walked into a boxing gym, I was so nervous because you watch these people and they're amazing.
Yeah.
And, when you're first starting and you think, I'm not really good, or it's when you don't understand it, when you're getting it wrong at the start, I think that's when a lot of people give up because they think it's too hard.
Yeah.
And it's not. You just need to keep going, like anything. You just need to keep going.
Yeah.
And once you realise, it's not that brutal, or you'll soon find if it's for you. There's loads of different martial arts. You don't have to go for the one that's full on. Heavy. There's so many varieties.
Krav Maga or anything like that.
Even karate has the WKF, and there's Taekwondo.
Yeah.
People aren't getting coming out and the faces are everywhere. There's so many different martial arts. There's one for everyone.
I think what people miss is that fighting, especially in combat sports, it's all about the art and the respect.
Yes, massively.
And I think a lot of people miss that, and then they go into it. And they just think, we're just beating each other up for fun here. This is just, No,
there's so much respect.
Yeah. What would be your biggest tip for someone that wanted to get started in any combat sport? What's sort of the first thing to do?
I'd probably say just don't be shy. Don't hold back from yourself. Just go and try it out.
Yeah. Because no matter what, everyone's going to be.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be friendly.
They are friendly. The scary part is stepping in. Because it's unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you might see when you see anyone, when you see them doing their stuff, and you think, that looks hard, or just don't give up, don't quit, just go.
Yeah.
And just keep going. And if you love it, even if you're not that good at it to start with, just keep going. You will.
No, you're right. The number one thing in sport is showing up.
Yeah, it's consistency.
Even if you're not, you maybe even just do 60% of whatever you wanted to do that day.
Yeah.
You've still done 60%. You've gotten, you've progressed even just a little bit, a tiny bit, and so it's just about the consistency of showing up and having the confidence to be there when other people aren't.
Yeah,
especially
100%.
That's how winners are made, really, isn't it?
Yeah, so I can guarantee athletes. I know it happens to me, and I bet it happens to a lot of others. We don't wake up every single day thinking I'm really in the mood for this today. Some days you have a bad day. You're a human being.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think I've got to go running. I don't want to, but I know I've got to. So you do. You go and show up. You still have to show up, And I think if a child gets that into them from a young age, and they just go turn up, just go do it, just go try it, just keep trying.
Even if it's not combat sport,
if
it's anything else.
Yeah.
It could be swimming, it could be it could be karate, it could be gymnastics, whatever you feel. Because like you said, there's a box for everyone. Yeah. And there's a box for everyone to fit into. And it doesn't matter what it is, or it might be football, it might be basketball.
Yeah.
It could be even something really, really niche. You know, it could even be pole vault. You know, you don't know. You don't know.
Have a look, I think you'll know what you're into. You kind of have an idea of who you are or what you might like. And it might lead to something else completely different.
Exactly.
But I know the one saying that's so true as an adult is you always regret the things you didn't do. So if you're sitting thinking about it, go and do it.
Absolutely. You will always regret. You won't regret doing something.
No.
You'll always regret not doing it.
Yeah, and I used to think, when I was a kid, and now I'm older, I think, it's true, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on from that, staying on the same sort of line, what advice would you have for someone that has autism then?
Just accept it. My son didn't accept it at first. He used to hate it. He didn't like it, and he kept trying to be like everyone else. So did I. But then, I think the sooner you accept it and just be true to yourself and who you are, everything will fall into place. You accept that you have to do things. Be confident enough to say, I need it this way. I need it that way. Or I like this food. I don't like that noise. Just be really 100% true to you and your autism. And I think your life will be it'll be better, nicer.
You should never cheap out on happiness.
No, you should. I think it's just having the confidence to admit you're different. As they call it. But I think it is really important.
No, I get what you mean. Well, I think that's a really good point to end it on, to be honest. It was very, very, that was inspiring, first of all. But hopefully anyone that sort of suffers from the same obstacles that you've come across during your life can be a little bit more tuned into it now and be able to drive their life in a direction where they're happy and they're around people that understand them and they can just achieve things that they want to achieve, really, whether the path is straight, whether the path is up, down, sideways, it could be anything. Exactly. You don't really know, do you?
No.
But hopefully someone's taken that and they'll be able to run with it and do the things that they want to do. But thank you very much for joining me. And thank you everybody for listening, and we hope to see you next time.